Good morning, Year 3 parents, and welcome to the Year 3 midterm webinar. I hope you find this session useful. We have the wonderful Miss Chelsie here with us today, and we hope you find this session useful as a bit of information, a bit of a pit stop midway through the school year for Miss Chelsie to talk about some of the things that the children in Year 3 are working on, what they've already worked on, and what's coming up in the future. Obviously, in normal times, we would be able to catch each other in the yard or after school or before school to have lots of those informal conversations either with myself or the class teacher. So hopefully you will find this useful. Please do write any questions or any comments in the chat box, in the comments box below, and we will try and address them. But I am also aware that a lot of people might be watching this at a later time or a later date. But as I said, I hope you find it useful. And yes, over to you, Miss Chelsie, our head of Year 3.
Thank you so much, Miss Laura. So yes, everyone, welcome to the Year 3 parent webinar. Hopefully, like Miss Laura said today, we can discuss some of the things that the children have been learning and what we're currently learning about and future topics that are coming up this term. So this is our school vision, which we feel very, very passionate about. Due to the current climate that we're in and everything that's happened with COVID, even more so now than ever, we really do feel like our nurture, challenge and excel and our vision for our school are just so important. When we reopened the school in August, September time, our goal was to just make sure that the children felt comfortable coming back and they felt that they, were in a happy environment, but still providing that level of challenge for the children and keeping our standards high as a school. So we feel really passionate and we stand by our vision, no matter COVID or not. So currently in Year 3, we are learning about South America. So that's our topic at the moment. And we've been on the topic of South America since January. The children are absolutely loving it. Boys, girls, everyone's so engaged. So this is some of the work from last term. So we really focused on lots of research about South America. We were able to really link it in with our geography and different continents and oceans across the world. As you can see here, the children wrote some amazing non-chronological reports about Brazil and animals in the Amazon rainforest, and they really thought about organising their writing and their presentation of the writing. And we were able to then link our topic of South America to do some wonderful pieces of art, which the children absolutely loved. We used oil pastels to make the drawings of the scarlet macaw and the toucans. And then in science last term, we were focusing on light. So the children got out and about using the sunshine to form shadows. And we're just moving on to our next topic very soon. And in maths last term, we were focusing on British money, as we are a British school. And it was a really, really fantastic opportunity for the children to use all their addition, subtraction, multiplication and division skills. So really, really fantastic term last term. Thank you, Miss Laura. So topics coming up this term, we'll continue with our South America topic. In English, we're going to move on to descriptive writing. So the children are really thinking about adjectives that they're going to use, prepositions, adverbs, and describing the Amazon rainforest. In maths, we're moving on to length and fractions. And in science, from next week, we're going to be moving on to our new topic about forces and magnets. Okay, so expectations in writing. Now, as you can see, and this is narrowed down from the Year 3 objectives of what the children do need to be able to do by the end of Year 3. I've highlighted some of the sentences and statements in bold, as I think that these are the most important ones for the children to be using. So, for example, now really thinking about using different conjunctions. So they're like joining words that they might use to make their sentences longer and better. So words like so, because, but, and, therefore, using adverbs in their writing. So can they describe how something is being done? Was it nervously, slowly, quickly? And then using prepositions even to start their sentence. So underneath the canopy of the rainforest, I could see. Year 3, we really focus on those bread and butter skills as well of actually, do the children know a range of punctuation marks, and do they know when to use them, when to use capital letters? And we look at all the punctuation that was used in year 2, of course, as well. And then in year 3, we start to include using speech marks, also known as inverted commas. We've got a big focus in year 3 this year on neat and joint handwriting. I think the period of when all the children were at home and lots of the learning took place via Seesaw, we really feel that was almost like a gap in the children's learning, that they just sort of forgotten how to hold a pencil, how to write on the line. So we've really got a big push with handwriting and presentation this year. And also I think it's really important that the children do learn to proofread and check for errors. And, you know, we do have like an ethos across year 3 that it's absolutely normal to make mistakes. As teachers, we often make mistakes on the board so that the children can see that it's actually really important to go back and read your writing and check it makes sense. So we want the children to become a bit more independent with that and take ownership for checking their writing. But yeah, you can read through the expectations in your own time as well. So this is a waggle of a piece of writing by a child in our school by the time they get to the end of year 3. So they will have hopefully used all of the things that were on the previous slides, like organising their writing into paragraphs, cursive handwriting, and they're using adverbs to open their sentences. They're using really descriptive adjectives and adventurous vocabulary. So hopefully by the end of year 3, this is what an expected piece of writing should look like.
Absolutely, Miss Chelsie. I mean, and I think parents, if you might be sitting there now having a panic, thinking, oh my goodness, my child's not there yet, and looking back at these statements, you can see there's a lot that we do expect our children to work on and to cover. But I think absolutely crucial what you've just clarified there, Miss Chelsie, with those highlighted ones. I think if you can really work on those nuts and bolts and the really crucial elements of writing, the rest of it does fall into place. But year 3 really is a time for really embedding the basics, embedding capital letters, embedding the full stops, really working on the handwriting. And you know, if you're supporting at home parents, please do try to make sure that you're always keeping writing experiences and writing opportunities as positive as possible. You know, very easily, our children work incredibly hard in school. So when they do go home, to have them sit home and write reams and reams is a challenge, as you probably experienced. So keeping it positive, keeping it fun, and asking your child to write shopping lists at home or writing emails, you know, you guys drafting an email together. You can cover so many of these elements without the physical handwriting is really, really important. And keeping it light-hearted without that pressure, not to turn them off writing. And celebrating, of course, when a child will do writing for you at home, whether it's a card or they're writing a birthday card or they're writing any piece of writing, it won't be perfect. You just choose something that you really want to focus on, whether it is the handwriting. Don't worry that words aren't spelt correctly, or don't worry whether some other element isn't there. Just really celebrating the wonderful things that you can see and keeping it so positive, so that the experience is really, really positive at home. Moving on to reading, Miss Chelsie.
Yes, thank you, Miss Laura. So reading, I can say personally, as a child, I did not enjoy reading at all. And I know that my teachers worked really hard with me in finding texts that I actually was engaged in. So I do think it's important to develop that love for reading with the children. And if they, as much as we want them to read a range of texts, we want them to read non-fiction texts, fiction texts, if there is one particular type of text that they are more engaged in, I think to develop that positive attitude for reading, which you can see I've highlighted in bold there, is absolutely crucial. Reading is fantastic in so many different ways. You know, it improves the children's vocabulary, it helps with their writing, and obviously, you know, we're using our reading skills every day, whether we're in the supermarket, we're driving down the street, we're using it all the time. So it really is important that you are reading with the children daily and encouraging them to have that love for reading. As we move on to past year 2, we move away from phonics, and the children can decode the words much more quickly and accurately. And most of our readers now in year 3 are very fluent with their reading. by the time the children get to about a stage 10, stage 11 in year 3, teachers will assess the children to see if they're ready to become free readers, which means that they don't follow the book bans like stage 3, stage 4, stage 5 that they take home at the moment, and they're able to just choose books themselves, or with Miss Lee's helping them choose them from the library to take home with to read. So teachers, if you're, the teachers that are teaching your children, they will assess the children and see if they're ready to move on to becoming free readers. Something that we're really focusing on in year 3 at the moment is those different skills in reading, because there's many different skills, and we find that the one that our children struggle with the most is those inference skills, where the answer isn't actually in the text right in front of them. If it says, oh, he's wearing a blue top, it's not that they're looking for the answer right in the text. It's that they're almost becoming detectives. They're using clues. They're using their previous knowledge that they already know to infer what's happening in the story. So that's a big push that we're having at home now. And I think, in school now, I think if you're reading with the children at home, as well as just listening to them read and, making sure that they're reading with expression and they're fluent readers, is asking them those inference questions. Well, why do you think that? And how do you know that? Like, what clues can you find in the text to help you with that? I think is really important, not just retrieving information from the text.
I agree, Miss Chelsie, and you can really tell, you can use these sorts of questions when you're watching movies together at home, or if you're having conversations at home, or if family incidents happens, you can just say, well, how do you think I'm feeling? Can you tell by my face? Or can you tell by reactions without actually saying? Sometimes you can maybe just pause a movie and say, how do you think he's feeling right now? Even though he hasn't actually expressed this, but you can tell through the situation around it. It's a really important skill to work on, and something that will really support the children moving on in their reading.
Yeah, I agree, Miss Laura. And I think as well, like, we were looking at inference skills yesterday in English, and we actually started just by looking at a picture. And I was explaining to the children, you're actually using your inference skills all day, every day, without even realising it. But yeah, our class text that we're looking at this term, so we're looking at The Great Kapok Tree, which is a fantastic story set in the Amazon rainforest. And the children are really engaged with that, and they're going to be writing some setting descriptions based on that over the next couple of weeks. And then we'll move on to the Lorax, which really focuses on that deforestation of rainforests, and we're going to have some debates as well, so we're looking forward to doing that. These are some question examples which are also on the homework slides for you to use at home to practice reading the different skills of comprehension. So like I said, it's not just about your child being able to read really fluently and read with fantastic expression. It's, can they use, their predicting skills? Can they summarize what's happened in the story? Can they use their inference? And can they develop their vocabulary? Can they discuss with you what's their favorite word and phrase, and then use that in their writing? So I really do encourage you to look back at these slides or use them on the homework to really prompt you when you're questioning the children reading at home. Yeah,
completely agree, Miss Chelsie. And here you have a wonderful selection of books for year 3. Tell us about these.
Yes, so we've got 50 recommended reads for year 3. So there's a link down at the bottom, the website that you can click on. You can just go onto that website, and these are all sort of age appropriate books recommended for year 3 children. And I know that all the classes in year 3 as well are using Epic. Now, I feel quite strongly about children holding a book in their hand and actually being able to look at the book, because obviously technology is overused these days in our modern world. But I do also recommend now and again the children going onto Epic, because there's so many books on there. And if your child is someone that maybe struggles a little bit with reading or doesn't particularly enjoy reading, Epic's a really fantastic way, because they can read the book to you as well. So it's a good way to get children engaged with reading. So I highly recommend using Epic as well.
Yeah, and these slides, Miss Chelsie, we will, if you could share them with your parents in your weekly newsletter as well, so the parents can access these, because yeah, it's fantastic. It's a wonderful collection of books here for parents to have and explore of, and I completely agree. It's good to have a Kindle, it's good to have online books, but also holding a real book. And then we're so lucky, there's some fantastic options out there now for our children to get really hooked and engaged in reading. Brilliant. So on to maths.
Math. So again, lots of things to cover, and believe it or not, they're not all even on here, but I chose the ones that were the sort of the main topics that we cover in maths. So again, I've highlighted the ones that I think are most crucial, and if you were wanting to focus on something at home, I recommend these ones. So you can read through these in your own time, but I do feel really strongly about the children having a good knowledge of their times tables. I know that the children love to use like TT Rockstars and hit the button, but even if you can encourage just, you know, playing multiplication games at home, sticking them around the house. And when the children are lining up at break time, I say, okay, what's 3 times 2? What's 4 times 8? And it's just sort of putting them on the spot, because that recall of multiplication and division is so important. Even when we were learning about money last term, it used so many of those basic skills of using their multiplication to answer questions and the addition and subtraction. So right at the start of the term, we had a huge focus on number, place value, addition, subtraction. It felt like we were doing number from, you know, September till Christmas, but they need that skill, because even like this week we've been looking at bar charts, tally charts, and a lot of the questions is like, you know, how many people went to the shop on Thursday, and they had to use their addition skills to add it all up, and a lot of the children had completely forgotten how to use addition column method. So I think just to keep recapping on those simple things at home, like practicing times table, using the column method for addition and subtraction, that is going to help them in all areas of maths, even like when they've got to estimate the calculation to a number, using the inverse to check their answer. Again, the children taking ownership of being able to self-check their own work, not always relying on the teacher say, oh, come on, check your answer. They can, you know, use an addition number sentence and check it with a subtraction. So I think if you're looking to, you know, work on things at home, definitely just practicing that column and subtraction, addition, and the multiplication and division skills. So here is a waggle. So we call a waggle what a good one looks like. So in Victory Heights, we like to use concrete, pictorial, and abstract in the way that we teach our maths. So when we first started at the beginning of the term and we were looking at place value and what's the value of 320, for example, we would use Deans, we would use Numicon for the children to physically make the number so they can visually see it. And then the children wouldn't move on from the concrete method to the pictorial until they were super confident with using the concrete objects. Then we move on to pictorial, where the children might draw bar graphs, they might draw par whole models. If they're sharing a number, they might physically draw the circles and share the number out. And then once the children are confident with using the pictorial method, then they can move on to the abstract, which is just the numbers. Once the children are, you know, really confident with their fluency skills and they've moved from concrete to pictorial to abstract, then we really focus on that reasoning and problem solving. So where the children are asked questions, how do you know this? Do you think this is true or false? How can you prove it? And we think that's also a really crucial part to deepen the children's understanding of their maths as well.
I agree. And then I think this process is so important to really get that depth of understanding and that depth of learning, so that there aren't any gaps. And when they're trying to apply these abstract methods, you know, whether it's column addition or column subtraction, that they have that real understanding beforehand of exactly the hundreds and the tens and the ones and what this physically looks like as well. It's absolutely crucial. Miss Chelsie, here we go. We have the policies that are online.
Yes. So I know that children prefer to work answers out using many different methods, as I'm sure you do as adults. And in school, we learn loads of different ways of, you know, working addition, subtraction, multiplication, division out. But we do have a school policy that we follow. So if you go onto the mobile app, there is calculation policy there for all year groups, and you can look over that policy. So if you were working at home with your children, you can see what policy that we're using in school, so that we can be consistent in the methods that we're teaching and the children are using.
And it's these are accessible in the 3 little lines on the top on the app. If you go to the policies thing, you'll find it. And they're very simple and clear and very well laid out, so there's not a lot of text, but just for you guys to understand exactly the process and the strategies that we use so that you can support fully at home, because it'll probably be very different to how when we were learning at school.
So Oracy is something that has been a big focus at Victory Heights for probably about, would you say 2 or 3 years now, Miss Laura?
I'd say nearly 3 years now. This is our 3rd year of a huge Oracy focus.
And I think coming from like a performing arts background where I focus a lot on like dance and drama, I am honestly really passionate about bringing that Oracy to the classroom, because it's all about how the children are speaking, how they're articulating, how they present themselves, how they project their voice when they're speaking, how they have that eye contact with people when they're talking to them. And I always say, you know, if you can't say it, then you're definitely not able to write it. So I really think that Oracy is, you know, a huge skill that the children need to develop. And even just answering in full sentences now, I know in my class, I'm always like, can you repeat that sentence again? Can you say it in a full sentence? Can you say it? Can you project your voice more? Can you give me eye contact when you're speaking? And you can really encourage that at home as well. In a moment, I'm going to show a table talk example with you. That's something that we're going to include in our homework from this week that you can use to as like prompts that you can have conversations with your children to get them to use their Oracy skills. So here you can see, so we have Settling Sunday, which is an examples of like, oh, what have you learned today? What's the most interesting fact that you've learned? And then on a Monday, it focuses on mindfulness. So it might be asking the children, you know, can you tell me something you're grateful for? On a Tuesday, it's our Topic Tuesday. So you would ask the children a question and all the questions there for you, so you don't have to think of them yourself. So Topic Tuesdays are based on the topic. So you might say, oh, you know, how is Brazil different to the UAE? Can you use your Oracy skills to explain to me? Witty Wednesday, everybody loves a joke. So we've got some jokes in there to get you guys laughing, and again, getting the children to use their Oracy skills. And then Thoughtful Thursday might be, you know, how can you show kindness today? Or getting the children to be think and reflect on things. So I really, again, recommend using this. I'll send this out on the slides and it'll be on the homework every week for the whole of March. And it can really encourage the children to, you know, use their Oracy skills. And I think, obviously, you modelling good Oracy speaking and listening skills at home is so important as well.
It's so crucial, Chelsie. You know, really having those dinner table or in the car conversations. I know some of the best conversations I have with my son are in the car or at the dinner table, and we have, you know, what do you feel about this? Why do you think that happened? Or, you know, and having those really healthy debates at home and modeling healthy debating and disagreements and explaining and reasoning and justifying. And it's so important. And I know we're all very guilty of being very device head down, but really working on eye contact and as a role model to your children as well, about how important it is to speak clearly, articulately, to give eye contact, to respond to each other. I know it's something that we're all a bit guilty of not doing great in these times at the moment, but yes, so important. So moving on to how we can support more at home, Chelsie.
Yes, so obviously daily reading is, like I said, it's so important. I know we try and squeeze time to read in class as well. I know that some of the children go to after school clubs and you guys are very busy with your own jobs, but even if you can get the children to just read when you're driving home or just before bedtime, make it part of your like bedtime routine, it really will help improve the children's writing, improve their vocabulary, and also just develop that love for reading. So please do that every day. As you can see here, there's some numbers. If a student was to read for 20 minutes a day, or then you've got a student A who only reads for 1 minute a day, by the end of the time they get to year 6, student C would only have read for 42 hours by the time they get to the end of year 6, whereas student A who's reading 20 minutes at home would have read 851 hours by the end of year 6, which is just incredible. So I really do recommend that daily reading. Obviously practicing spelling. So we've actually added now onto the year 3 spellings, we've got some topic words as well. So as well as following those year 3 spelling patterns and those common exception words, we've added some topic words. So there's some extra spellings for the children to be learning. They can be using spelling shed, or, you know, just the old-fashioned way of writing it out, putting it into a sentence. Do they actually know the meaning of it? Finding those words, using a dictionary. There's no point really learning a spelling word if they don't know the meaning of it. Times tables, of course, like I said, using Hit the Button, TT Rockstars, and writing them out. Can you play some games with the children at home? Can you ask them, like, while they're brushing their teeth, okay, when you stop, what's 4 times 8? And just asking those questions like that. Or do they want a bit of chocolate? You're going to have to tell me what 10 times 2 is before you get that. So just putting it into like daily life.
And again, yeah, as we were saying, Chelsie, about the talking, but I do believe these things here, these 4 things for year 3, more than any other year group, if you're really just focusing on these 4 areas at home, if you want to do extra, then these are the basics. These are the really foundations that will carry them through into year 4 and onwards. Just to really nail and work on these things will be the best thing that you can do at home, without a doubt. But okay, Miss Chelsie, these are the things we mustn't forget.
Yes, these are our housekeeping reminders, but they're so crucial. So children do need a pair of headphones. Now, I know that they break and they get wrapped around the chairs and they get trodden on, and I really am encouraging my class to keep a tidy area and to actually have responsibility to look after their belongings and their Chromebooks and their headphones. But they really do need headphones. So please, can you make sure that, you know, the children are bringing them in every day, and if they do break, please do replace them. And the same with Chromebooks. So the children are fantastic bringing in their Chromebook every day, but often they come in and they may not be charged. So please, again, just, you know, give that responsibility to your children as well. I'm sure you've all got enough on your plate to be worrying about charging the children's Chromebooks, but make it their responsibility to make sure that their Chromebooks are charged every day. Again, pencil cases, we shouldn't really be sharing resources at the moment because of COVID. So we want to reduce the sharing of pencils, rubber, sharpeners where possible. So please do, over the weekends or the holidays, make sure that, you know, the children do have the right equipment in their pencil cases, just basics like pencil, rubber, ruler, not too much because they have tiny little desks that then they've got like millions of felt tips and gel pens. So just the basics really, but if you can just make sure that they are regularly replaced, that would be amazing. It's getting hotter outside now, and we do have some time where the children go outside at lunchtime and at break time. So please, can you make sure that your children do have a hat and that they bring it in every day and that it's labelled, because we don't have a lost property box at the moment and things obviously go missing. So please make sure that the children are wearing hats and bringing them in every day, and make sure they're labelled as with all the other equipment. Again, because of COVID, we're not allowed to have our water machines. So just ensure that your children have that extra bottle of water every day. And if they don't, you don't want to send them in with like loads of bottles of water like me. My goodness, I have about 9 bottles of water a day. I know it's a lot for them to carry, but we've got a vending machine downstairs. So if you just put maybe a couple of £1 coins in their bag, so that if they do run out of water, they can just pop down to the machine and get some extra water. And just make sure that library books and reading books aren't going anywhere near the water and the food, and that they've got a book folder or a book bag that they can be putting it in. That would be amazing.
Brilliant. And Miss Chelsie, like you said there as well, this is so much now the age in year 3 where you can pass the responsibility over to the children. They do need to start to take care for their own belongings, as you said. So making those habits that when they come in from school, they need to go and plug in their Chromebook, they need to check their pencil case, they need to do these things. Are their headphones working? A lot of this needs to come back to the children now, parents, and are really trying to reinforce the responsibility. And Daiso, for example, shops that can sell very, very cheap headphones if you're, you know, don't spend the money on the very expensive ones, if they're getting broken and lost, so forth. So yeah, thank you so much, parents, for supporting on that. Now, I am aware, as we said, that many of you are watching this and not live. And I don't seem to be any questions as we're going, but if you do have questions, please pop them below into the comment box, So Miss Chelsie and I are here to help or answer any of those questions. But I do hope you found that very useful, and it's just always good to have a little pit stop and reminder of where we're at and what we can do to help moving forward. So thank you so much, Miss Chelsie. Thank you for your time. Thank you, parents, mums and dads, for joining us today. I hope you found this useful. And again, if you have any questions after this, please do drop them to Miss Chelsie or to myself via email, and we'll be able to help you out. But have a good rest of the day. This recording is going to be available for you on YouTube to go back and watch. And as Miss Chelsie said, she will be sending out the notes from this session as well with her weekly email, which is really important that you do keep up to date with reading the information that gets sent out, so that you are fully up to date with events that are coming. So thank you, Miss Chelsie. Thanks, mums and dads, for watching. Okay, and have a good rest of the day. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.